Hi, I'm Nancy Juetten, and I'm so honored to be invited to speak to the Exceptional Connections community today about making your bio brilliant so you could get booked on podcasts and broadcasts and smile all the way to the bank. I wanted to first start by why this is important to me personally, because I think when you make the connection between why this matters to me, maybe you can see a connection as to why this would be important to you too. My dad was an actor in Hollywood, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And if my dad didn't work, we didn't have groceries or any of the extras that you would hope for when you're growing up in status conscious Southern California. And I remember him going out on auditions and performing to the best of his ability and coming home with a sense of high expectation that he got the job. And then we would wait, and then we would wonder, and then we would pray, because if dad didn't get the job, we didn't get money. And that meant we were growing up in scarcity. And I really remember thinking to myself how disempowering it is that he had to wait for someone to give him permission to make a living instead of being able to make money on demand. And I think even as a very young person, I realized that I never wanted to be in that situation. So here we are in a situation, it's a global pandemic, and professional speakers are derailed and sidelined because they can't go to live events to deliver their magic. But I have this belief that if you want to speak more, you can speak more. And if you have an audience of people that are interested in what it is that you talk about, you can speak from your Facebook Live, from Zoom, from a teleclass or a webinar to speak to people that you already have in your community. You can get invited to speak to people who have already embedded audiences, people who serve folks who need what you have to share. And you can also pitch yourself to podcast hosts that can't wait to have an expert like you on their program. The truth is there are over 1 million podcasts right now, and the number of new ones is growing every single day, and they're all looking for experts just like you. So why not balance the speaking that you do for your own community with the speaking you can do for communities like this, with the speaking that you can do on podcasts that are right for your message, to have a triple play of upside so you can ping pong all of those listeners that are paying attention and needing your solution back into your own world so you can do more business. That's what we're here to talk about. And we're also here to talk about how to get ready for opportunity before it knocks, because opportunity is waiting for us every single day if we just know where to look for it. So if it's all right, I'm going to share my screen because I have some slides to share that'll bring this alive for you. And you might want to bring out your phone to take pictures of some of these slides, because some of them are going to be juicy and useful. And that's really the intention that I have, is for this next 20 minutes to be the best 20 minutes you can spend to make sure that you show up at hello like a pro with a bio that stops traffic and opens the door to the something more that you want. You know, none of us wakes up in the morning and says, boy, I want a brilliant bio just for the sake of having a brilliant bio. We want a brilliant bio for the doors that it can open to the something more that we want. More speaking opportunities, more opportunities to serve our unique audience, more opportunities to make our difference in the world. And I've been preaching for years about the importance of being ready for opportunity before it knocks. And some of my clients have taken my advice to their advantage, like Joy Evans, for example. She says, I booked my second speaking gig for the month, wait for it, by being ready for opportunity before it knocks. I'd sent an inquiry to the leader of a local group asking about who booked speakers. She sent me an email back saying she was just starting to book for the year. She offered me a last-minute gig, fully expecting that it wouldn't work, and it turned out that it did. I had my stuff over to her so she could promote the event in minutes. She already sent me 3 thank you emails. Yay, thanks for that great advice. Joy Evans. I helped Joy create a bio that would position her as an expert to talk about the value of achieving more to saying yes to less. And what do you know? She's getting booked again and again on the right kinds of stages, live and virtual, for her message. And isn't that brilliant? So my invitation to you is not to think only exclusively about the bio, but think about how you can get ready for the big opportunities now so that you can be the podcast guest, the speaker, or the expert who gets booked to speak to the right folks. That means being deliberate and specific and not winging it. That means deciding to play big and believing and behaving as if your result was already real. Because as I mentioned in my opening story, You can take control over your economic destiny. When you are ready for those phone calls, you can respond like a pro and have the host so glad they made the attempt. And then you can get booked on national public radio or whatever the broadcast is that's right for your message and smile all the way to the bank. Excuse me. The upside is that even in a global pandemic, you can sit down in front of your microphone and welcome leads, connections, collaborations, clients, and cash just by sharing your brilliance with the right people, the right people. So what is lesson number 1? Prepare. Being ready for opportunity matters perhaps as much as the message you share. What if National Public Radio called you today and said they wanted you to be an expert on their program tomorrow? Would you be ready? That's the mindset that I want you to take on as we go through this presentation. One of my clients, a graduate of my private mentoring program, Rebecca Zung, wants to be on podcasts and broadcasts and to position herself as someone who helps people slay any negotiation with a high conflict personality and how to negotiate like you matter. Boy, in these days where rates are being slashed left and right, her expertise can be super useful to a whole variety of people. And this is her Media One sheet that showcases what's special and different about her. She leads with that she's a top 1% attorney and a master negotiation strategist. She lets you know that the topics she speaks about are relevant to that. She shows her success by the numbers and a very short bio that says who she is and then how you can book her. It's very simple, but it's so much bigger than the bio. It's the door to the something more that she wants. And boy, oh boy, it's working for her because she has over 1.5 million views on YouTube for some of her own videos. She has 30,000 followers and 20,000 people on her newsletter list, and she's cooking with gas. Dr. Susan O'Malley helps powerful women lead more effectively, and here's how she showcases who she is and how she helps so that decision makers will bring her to their program. She leads with what she talks about in her most popular online program with just 2 short paragraphs. She's a member of the National Speakers Association, a 2-time presenter at the Inbound Conference, and has been featured on Entrepreneur Magazine, Fox News, numerous podcasts, and is the author of Tough Cookies Don't Crumble, Turn Setbacks into Success. She's simple, to the point, but highly targeted to bring in the kinds of engagements she wants. Yes, the bio matters, but what matters more is what the audience will learn and how Susan is the right person to help them. So if you want to be presenting yourself to a podcast host or a broadcast host, having a Media One sheet is going to be a very powerful first step. And I actually am giving you access to a free Media One sheet template that you can download as my gift to you if you simply go to the link that you see on the screen, the bit.ly/easy-MOS. MOS stands for Media One sheet. To the right, you'll see my Media One sheet. It shows you my name, how I want to be known, a very short bio that establishes my credibility and time in the trenches, how many people I've helped, what specific people I've helped, and the books that I've written, and how people talk about me, that I'm all of the help and none of the hype, and generous, quick, clever, and kind. As I've supported my clients' success through the years, I've earned millions along the way. Very short, sassy, to the point, but you know that I'm credible in delivering the magic. And then I specify what I like to talk about and what speaking people in my audience have said, and then I make it easy for people to book me. What if you had a Media One sheet that followed the same format to position you as the expert that your ideal podcast host would want to have? Well, easy peasy, that Media One sheet template is waiting for you as my free gift, and you can use my example as one you can mirror with your own information, and in a matter of minutes, your Media One sheet will be complete and you will be prepared to start pitching the podcast hosts that are right for your message. How awesome is that? What I'd like you to do is to believe and behave as if the most important person on earth was going to call you tomorrow, and to show up as though you are ready for that opportunity. That simple mindset shift will affect everything that you do, not just how you pitch yourself to the proper podcast, but how you pitch yourself to the ideal client you want to serve, how you hold the value on the tuition that you charge, and how you do everything in your life and business. And the second thing I want you to know is that if you are an extraordinary guest and co-collaborator, you will show up in ways that astound, delight, and surprise. I love to tell this story about me and National Public Radio because I remember it so vividly, like it was yesterday. This was a number of years ago, and I was actually taking a vacation day, sitting on a lounge chair in sunny San Diego, just wanting to read Brene Brown and Oprah Winfrey while drinking my iced tea, while enjoying the trade breezes. I wasn't working that day at all. And yet then in that moment, the phone rang, and it was Mary Price of National Public Radio. Hi, I'm Mary Price. I'm with National Public Radio. Am I speaking to Nancy Juetten? Yes, you are. How can I help you? We found you in a Google search. It's clear that you help people build a business based on their expert status. Can you be a guest on our show tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock? Imagine you were getting that phone call. What would you do? In my case, I just sat up in the chair and I said, Mary, I'm so honored to be asked. I'm happy to be a participant. In a couple of minutes, I can get you my short bio, the interview questions I love to be asked, a headshot, a photograph of the cover of my book, Bye Bye Boring Bio workbook. And is there anything more I can do to make this easy for you and easy for your national audience? And she said, will you please teach the world to do what you just did? Because if I wasn't ready, I would be putting on my cover up, going back to the hotel room, scrambling at the 11th hour to get her what she needed. But instead, I was able to go to a link on my blog, do a simple cut and paste, and say, Mary, here's everything you need for our interview tomorrow. This is my cell phone. Reach me if you need me, but I'll be right on time, right at 9 o'clock. Thank you very much. Bam, that was it. What if you were able to do that? Now, imagine for a moment that you have 20 or 30 podcast interviews that you have on your calendar. You don't want to have to recreate all that information for all 20 different hosts. You want to be able to cut, paste, and send so that you can be that brilliant guest. And it's not just your short bio that needs to be pithy and positioned properly so that people can speak it out loud in the third person, but it needs to say what the value is for the audience. It's not so much about you, it's about what value you have to bring to the audience that matters the most in terms of your messaging. So I hope these two big points are helping you to think differently. It's not all about the bio, it's about the door that the bio can open so you can work your brilliance to bring more people back into your world. Now, another mistake that people make is they fail to share a sassy topic and they go generic. Oh, I can talk about a variety of things in a variety of ways. What would you like me to talk about? That's a big mistake. I want you to be able to position yourself and your topic in such a way that people know that they want it right out of the gate. Instead of saying you're an author, speaker, or coach, why not describe yourself as a motivational speaker who inspires young professionals to succeed in the first 2 years of their career, even if the job they have isn't a perfect fit? He's saying what kind of a speaker he is, who his audience is, and what win they're going to welcome. And you know right away if he's the guy for you. And is it any wonder that he's been invited to speak and lead keynote addresses at the University of Washington at commencement? Because he's so crystal clear about what kind of speaker he is, who his audience is, and what win is waiting for them. So what is your topic? Do you have one? Is it super generic and not the least bit memorable? And is there a result your audience wants in the name? These are very important things to consider if you want your bio to open those big doors. So I invite you to pick up your phone and take a picture of this simple template. You can simply put your information in place of the information for the example and have this work for you as you smile and dial to get in touch with people who have the power to bring you to their podcast or their virtual stage, or one day soon, their live stage. I remember when Morgana Ray came to me thinking that her speaker sheet was right on time. And I remember saying to her, are you open to some upgrades? Because I think we could do so much better. And she said, yeah, that's why I'm talking to you. One of the biggest mistakes she's making is positioning herself as author, speaker, coach, snooze, you lose. She was calling herself author, speaker, and relationship with money coach. How generic can you get? It's an undifferentiated title that has no wow factor at all. When we were working together, we came up with this, the remarkably different, disarming, and powerful relationship with money keynote speaker. Now we know what she does and what she talks about, and that she's a keynote speaker. It's so much more clear, compelling, and memorable. And then we added that Morgana Ray is to the transformational coaching industry what E.F. Hutton is to personal finance. When she speaks, people listen, and most importantly, they take action with their wallets. Well, the very first time she took this out to a group of influencers, she came home with 5 gigs booked that weekend, and she hasn't stopped. So don't go author, speaker, coach, snooze, you lose. Come up with an anchor or a title for your expertise that's memorable and remarkable and that's differentiating, because it will help you stand out at hello. Invariably, podcast hosts and other people are going to want to know, what do you talk about and how will our audience win? So don't just go generic and say very straightforward things about what you will learn or discover. Bring out what's new, add some curiosity and intrigue and some urgency and some specificity to those comments so that people will show up and make it a priority to be there live instead of asking you to phone in the PowerPoint or ask for a replay. There should be something juicy and intoxicating in the way that you're delivering your message and how it's going to change people's lives, that they're going to make that a priority. And if you could bring that level of urgency to the bullet points that you showcase on your Media One Sheet, you will be incredibly well served. Now you're probably thinking, where can I find all these hosts that could have me on their program? Well, there's a number of podcast collaboration groups on Facebook where you can actually join them for free and start rubbing elbows with both hosts and guests that are looking for spots. This is what I call picking the low-hanging fruit. If you haven't done a lot of podcast guesting yet and you want to get your feet wet, get on some shows that are actively seeking guests and earn your stripes. And then when you prove to yourself and others that your message is magnetic, that you can ping pong people back into your world with an irresistible lead magnet, and that you can convert those leads into conversations that turn into cash, that's incredibly confidence building for you. And then you can start to say, I want to be on podcasts that have at least 100 episodes, that have experts that are the people that I admire and have the company that I want to keep. And you can start raising the bar, because the more you are visible on top podcasts, the more other top hosts will see and hear you and want to invite you to be part of their program. So if this is all new to you, a simple thing to do is to choose the top 5 podcasts that you would so want to be a guest on. And you can do a Google search, the top 5 podcasts for women entrepreneurs, the top 5 podcasts for holistic practitioners, the top 5 podcasts for helping people build authority. If you know your niche audience, you can do a search on iTunes or on Google to find the top podcasts. And the first thing you want to do is listen to them to make sure that you're a fit for the show. And then oftentimes the shows will say how to pitch yourself on the podcast, or it will say be on the podcast. And they'll even offer an application form where you can make your pitch. So step 1 would be consider what top 5 podcasts you want to be speaking up on, listen to them, and then make a pitch the media can't resist. It's just that simple and that deliberate. So since I'm talking about pitching, you're probably thinking, I don't know how to pitch. That's not something I've ever done before. Well, let me make it easy for you. And here again, pick up your phone and check out this simple template. When I tuned in to listen to your name of the podcast here, to hear your interview with name of the riveting guest, I found myself giving the show my 100% attention. I even took notes and posted a 5-star review on iTunes, and here it is. Thanks for the insights and the kick in the pants to make a big change or take an inspired action. Since your show is all about that, I'd love to be considered as a guest, as an expert. Fill in your expertise and what you can talk about. This is especially timely now because of this reason. I've contributed to some big and little name shows and host rave about the value I bring while bringing my mission and perspectives to get them thinking. I'd love to follow up with you to see about being a guest on your show. I'm looking forward to continuing the conversation. I have used this simple template with some adjustments again and again, amen, to book myself on at least 30 podcasts since March 1st of this year. Coming back to one of the things I said at the start of this talk is, if you want to speak more, speak more. Speak to the audiences over which you already have access. Speak to groups like Exceptional Connections, where you're lucky enough to earn an invitation, and then speak on the podcasts that are right for your message. Again, if you do all three legs of that stool, you'll have a solid foundation where you can deliver your message whenever you like and ping pong people back into your world with your own irresistible call to action, or a lead magnet, if you will. Once they book you on the show, they'll say, I want to have you on the program. Can you please send me your headshot, a picture of your book, the 5 interview questions, how you want to be introduced for the show? And that's when having an interview your name here page can be super helpful, because whenever I am asked to confirm a booking, I'm simply able to say getknowngetpaid.com/interview Nancy, and I can send them everything they need in one click, whether I'm on a lounge chair or somewhere across the country or sitting on my backyard deck. I want to be ready for opportunity whenever it knocks, and I want to be the dream guest that hosts are super glad that they booked. And I want to make it super easy for them to interview me, because I actually provide suggested interview questions so that I can be guided to tell my story, make a connection with the audience, and drive the conversation towards taking the next action that I want the audience to take, so that I can have the opportunity to nurture that new fan of my work to become a fan and a client. So if you do not yet have a page on your blog that makes it easy for hosts to book you, simply take a picture of this slide and look at this page that I set up for myself, and then either ask your virtual assistant to create it for you, or do it yourself on your simple WordPress blog. I promise you that when you have 20 to 30 interviews coming up very quickly, being able to share this with your host in a moment's notice is going to make you stand apart from every other guest who's scrambling at the 11th hour. But more to the point, you're going to save so much time, because you're not going to be scrambling to find everything they need, and you can keep your eye on the ball when it comes to serving your clients, meeting your commitments, and doing everything else that you have on your plate, and not let any balls drop. So that's a beautiful, actionable strategy that will pay off for you again and again, I promise. So how much do you want to take control of your economic destiny by speaking up in all the ways that you can? On a scale of 1 to 10, being 10, I'm super motivated, and 1, not so much, where do you stand? Because if you want that level of control, I would like to invite you to, and to dare you to step up. That means deciding that speaking up virtually from all these different venues is exactly in your wheelhouse and what you should be doing. That means asking for the gigs, aiming high as you do, and applying for as many opportunities that are right for your message as you possibly can. That means resisting the temptation to quit. Not everyone will say yes, but 3 out of 5 will if you make a winning approach. And then I want you to execute, because it's one thing to say that you want it, it's another thing to actually do it. And when you take imperfect action, sometimes perfect results unfold, sometimes beyond your own expectations. There's a lot of reasons for many of us to feel disempowered because of what's happened in the world over the last several months. And you can either surrender to what you can't control, or you can marshal what you can. And I would simply say, want your result enough to take action to make it happen and get a little bit uncomfortable. I'll tell you something, I'm really good at picking the low-hanging fruit, going to the podcast guest collaboration circles and finding early stage podcasts where I can be a guest. But I get butterflies in my stomach when it comes to reaching out for the big shows, and I push through it, and it's uncomfortable for me. But when I get invited to those bigger shows, I know that there's a bigger audience waiting to hear my message, and that if I show up well prepared and deliver my message with heart and smarts, there will be people in that audience that will ping pong back to get my free gift, will ask to do business with me, and I will make more money with every step I take along the journey. And that is really what it's all about. We didn't get into business just to raise our voice. We want to make money too. And I find podcast guesting a brilliant strategy to bring about that visibility, that credibility. And you know what? Every time I'm on a podcast, someone else hears the podcast and says, hey, you were great on that show. Will you be on my show too? At some point, you don't have to do so much pitching and more opportunities come your way. And then you simply say yes. And because you've got all your systems in place and your bio is brilliant and your interview questions are well prepared and you have a irresistible lead magnet that people actually want, you can have a reliable outcome in terms of a new lead that will turn into a client at some point down the road. And that is very empowering in a challenging time that we find ourselves in with a worldwide pandemic. So you could say, yeah, I've been meaning to get around to that. I'm going to get around to that at some point. And you could put it on your list as something you could do at some later point. But then you have to ask yourself, what opportunities might you be missing out because you're sitting on the fence? My question to you is, are you ready to drop out of the Getting Ready to Get Ready Club and to start getting on podcasts and broadcasts and television shows right now as the expert you already know yourself to be? Because as I mentioned, there are over a million podcasts waiting for guests just like you. And if you could broadcast your brilliance and spell out your greatness and edify an audience and tell them what's special and different about how you can help solve urgent problems that need relief right now, why would you stop short of that when so much upside is waiting? So I want to help you with your brilliant bio, and I don't want it to cost you a dime. If you visit byebyeboringbio.com, you can download the Amazon #1 best-selling preview to my brand new workbook that debuted in September. You know, you could have knocked me over with a feather when I uploaded this 26-page workbook preview to the Kindle store in July and saw it quickly gain an audience without any effort on my part. I got excited about that and thought, what if I did a newsletter and some social media posts and a press release to build the buzz about it? What then could happen? Within 24 hours, it was #1 in 4 categories, and people were flocking to go get this free gift, to get this for a 99-cent purchase. Well, now I'm making it available to you absolutely free. All you have to do is go to byebyeboringbio.com and you can download it, and then you will get tips to add pizzazz to make your bio more brilliant. You will see actual media one-sheets and sizzling speaker sheets that you can model as your own. And you'll also get a video that will help you make the most of virtual speaking, which couldn't be more relevant in the world that we find ourselves in. That's my gift to you. Your bio will be brilliant when you follow the tips within this powerful guide. It's my gift to you. And if you were called to become the podcast dream guest that hosts can't wait to book, and you know that the way that I teach and the detail that I provide is absolutely a fit for you, I would love for you to check out the Podcast Dream Guest Mastery course that I make available for purchase on my website. I am happy to say that I've had 350 graduates so far, and they are raving about what they learned and the results that they brought about in as simple as 5 days, taking in a video training, do a simple assignment, and posting in my Facebook group for my feedback. People are getting booked on podcasts. Their confidence is growing in leaps and bounds. They're enrolling people into their group programs and their private mentoring programs. And one good podcast is leading to another, and their visibility is going through the roof. And this is such an empowering strategy that if you are excited to learn how, during the Podcast Dream Guest Mastery course, I will teach you my 6-piece system as you prepare your message, as you position your expertise, as you prioritize the right podcast for your message, because not all podcasts are created equal, as you present yourself in a winning way so people want to do business with you, as you pitch the media in a way that they can't resist, ping pong people back into your world, and then profit for having done so. I will walk you through all 6 P's so that they become a well-formed habit. And when you become a graduate of Podcast Dream Guest Mastery, the world really truly is at your feet, because there's millions of podcasts that are waiting for guests like you, and you are now going to be the Podcast Dream Guest host that host can't wait to book. So if you're excited about that, I would love to have you participate. It's a modest tuition, and included with it is your digital copy of the Bye Bye Boring Bio 2020 workbook that can be your guide to being brilliant with your bio everywhere it shows up, no matter where, online or off. I'd love for you to now start to think about yourself as the podcast dream guest, because when you are ready in the ways that I have talked about today, your confidence shows with every pitch and every move you make, and you become instantly magnetic for hosts to want to book you. And then when you take your place on the microphone and you rock your message and create a connection with that host, and most importantly, create a connection with that audience, there's going to be a percentage of those people that want to do business with you. And isn't that exciting? So I hope that you've enjoyed this brief presentation about how to become the podcast dream guest with your brilliant bio leading the way. I hope you're excited about downloading the Media One Sheet gift template and the Bye Bye Boring Bio gift preview, so that you have the support, whether you're able to do business with me or not. These 2 tools will help you. And if Podcast Dream Guest Mastery's got your name on it, I can't wait to welcome you to the course. It is the finest work I've done this year, and it has already served 350 happy podcast guests that are hoping to be the perfect podcast guest, and they're putting that into practice every day, and I hope that you will soon join them. My name is Nancy Juetten. It's been my pleasure to be with you today, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you so much.